One is rolling over your toes, and one is flipping your feet. Okay? And each of you is going to have a different preference to that. And there are different factors why you might do one versus the other. Okay? So she'll do it first, just rolling, because that's how she does it. Okay? And I want you to just watch how she does it. Okay? And just see what you notice as she's making that transition. Okay? Before she lowers down, you see how forward she comes. Okay? When she's rolling over, she's pushing back to roll over her toes. Okay? You shouldn't have to do a whole lot of adjustment in your arms and your hands in between those transitions if you're doing them smoothly and correctly, okay? Those of you that have bunions, right? The rolling over your toes is not going to be user-friendly. Okay? Okay, so now she's going to... I have this really interesting sort of spur bunion thing that's happening on the very top of my foot. It's not out to the side like this. So I have no flexion in this big toe anymore. So it's really fun. There's no way I can roll over my toes. And I, in fact, don't even really like teaching that so much. I normally will teach people to flip over their feet. But she's going to, she'll show that now.
With the flipping one like another, like the thing that you can catch yourself up is that you're always starting with right leg and left leg.
Yeah.
And then it's very, if you're doing this one time, it's okay. But like if you're going to think, okay, 20 times each class, that is really on alignment on one hip. Because you're always starting and one hip is collapsing, one hip is leading. So you always have to remember, it's just like when you're stepping forward and back, not jumping, you cannot always step right leg. Because that's, you see how it's on alignment. The same way you're going to see, you always have to think, and it's your job to flip one leg and switching, that's always not right leg. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you always want to try to switch your feet. Okay, so she'll show you flipping now. Okay. And, you know, as she's going through it, just see each pose and in your mind try to say what the pose is. Yeah, Chaturanga Dandasana she's going into right now. We're in Adho Svanasana, upward facing dog. So see the flipping of the feet. And then Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. She's doing an extra step in there because she's stepping back, not jumping, which is how I want you to teach it right now. Because haven't gotten into the whole jumping aspect, okay? The breath is going to be the same. It's just going to be a little harder because you've got an extra step in there, okay? All right. So, good. Now, what can make that transition difficult? The rolling over the toes bit. How many of you roll over your toes, first of all?
To up or up? From up?
From Chaturanga to up dog.
Right, so this one.
So rolling over your toes from Chaturanga to upward facing dog. Good. Yeah, okay. So you rollers, can I see a roller, Rachel? Yeah. Okay, you don't have to do the whole sun citation. Just come into, is it okay that we're using your mat?
Yeah, absolutely. No problem.
So come into plank pose. Okay, and then just show us that, just do that transition. Chaturanga, up dog, downward facing dog. Okay, now, I just noticed something in that transition that she did, which was, okay, come on down. She did it very beautifully, but she has a lot of strength, okay? My concern is the placement of her shoulders relative to her wrist as in upward dog as she made that transition. Those of you that are here could have probably seen that. What did you see, Damon?
Well, when she got into Chaturanga, her elbows were behind her wrists, I believe. They were right below her elbow.
They were too far back?
Right, yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, what did you notice in upward dog? Anything?
I don't remember.
Okay, so she rolled over her toes very, very symmetrically and very nicely, but what happened is, what happens, and this is really common, when you roll over the toes, is that your weight just keeps going forward. So when she wound up in upward dog, her shoulders were way past her wrist. Do you know that? Do you feel pain in your wrist? It's really common. Okay, so watch. This is what you're doing.
And the reason it's happening because many people are not going forward, but they're going, okay, from plank pose, I'm gonna go just down.
No, but she went forward.
And then,
yeah, that's kind of exaggerated,
Yeah.
but like that's what happens is like when it's really subtle though, Rachel. Do it again. Do it again.
well, yeah.
It's really subtle, but like okay, so when you come before you lower down, go forward. That's it. Now bend your elbows. Good. Now upward dog. Okay, good. So you see how forward she is?
That's not right.
No, but that's what's happening. But because the reason it's not the transition into chaturanga, because that was good, because you have to go forward. It's when you roll over your toes, you're missing an extra step, and that extra step is that you have to push back as you roll over your toes, like Carolina did. Okay, so it's like it's this movement. Let me show you. Oh, let me show you again. So this is so when you're here, okay, you have to actually push back through your toes as you roll over your toes. So you're more lined up, shoulders to the wrist. If I don't do that as I lower down and I just roll, I just roll, I'm just going forward. Does that make sense?
No.
So what you're doing is that you're just rolling. Before you roll, you have to push back as you roll over. You have to push back through your toes as you roll over. So that when you come into upward dog, you're actually, your shoulders and your wrists are more aligned with each other. It's just to protect your wrists, because when you come into upward facing dog, if you're too far forward like that, now you're really going to...
And your shoulder.
And your shoulder, yeah.
To roll to the, on the toes and not leave your skin on the mat, you have to use your legs and the arms.
So let's try it. Let's try it. Come. I'll talk you through it because you're strong and you can hold it differently. Okay. So shift your weight forward. Okay, and then lower down chaturanga. Okay, now push back through your toes first. No. Go back. Push. Slide your toes back.
Scrub the mat.
Yeah, and then roll. A little bit better.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's okay. It's better. Okay, and then release. Part of it too is that when people don't have, if you don't have a great deal, there's some people that can actually just roll over the toes and be in the right place with the shoulders and the wrist, and that's a matter of how flexible your lumbar spine is. If you've got a really big, great ability, I should say, to bend in your lower back, then that most likely isn't an issue.
Also, length of the arms. Longer arms.
Length of the arms, yeah. Does that make sense? So what's happening is in that transition, your shoulders are winding up too far forward of your wrist and upward dog. So we have to figure out how to, if you want to keep rolling like that, how to help you to do it in such a way that when you come into upward facing dog, you're more stacked with your shoulders over your wrists, okay? Let's see somebody else that does that, rolling. Okay.
I was always taught that you're supposed to drag.
What do you mean?
Instead of pushing back, like you drag like a dog would drag, like you drag yourself.
Oh my gosh, no, yeah, no. No, because if you're only coming forward without going back, then it's like when we were just seeing in down dog, all the weight is now in the arms, in the shoulders, and the wrist. So you have to pull back as you come forward. Okay, let's see you do it, Valerie. So just from plank pose, and do chaturanga. That's it, and then upward dog. Good, so you're a little too far forward too. Do you see where her, yeah, so come, try it again.
So yeah, push back, right?
Yeah, so come forward, that's it, lower down chaturanga, good, then roll your, yeah.
Oh, that's so much harder.
I know.
Whoa. Because you have to use your legs and arms.
You have to use your legs and arms.
Super like levitation.
Totally. This is why, this is not toe friendly, okay? You don't want to rely on your toes. You have to use your legs so much as you do that, and your arms so much. Otherwise, your toes are just going to be like not happy. This is why, like, you know, that is a hard transition to really get everybody. Otherwise, you should just flip your feet. You know what I mean? Because it's just to save your, you know, to save your toes.
Flip your feet, you'll be in the right position because when you flip your feet, you're not moving yourself.
Yeah, because you're extending your
Because when you flip your feet, you're stretching back. You're stretching back through the legs as you flip your feet. So you should wind up more even with your shoulders over your
Then
ribs.
you'll have to remember to switch up, like, oh, now I should roll, I should flip my left first, then my right, I flip my left before.
You have to remember.
Because,
That's
right,
okay.
because then you're gonna get, if you're constantly rolling over, flipping on the right first, then that side is gonna be compensated.
Yeah, so you just switch, then you do it on the left side. Keeps you focused.
When you come from up dog to down dog.
Yes,
you
up
go
dog to down
back
dog.
over your toes.
Yeah, so we want to show that.
Okay.
So, yeah, so it's the same thing. Actually, that wasn't so bad when you're rolling over. But the reason it's not so bad, because I know, because my toe doesn't do that. So I have to use my legs a lot as I'm doing that. So when she goes back, she's pulling up through her belly and her legs so much to go over her toes. If she just relies on like dumping into her toes and her ankles, you see how much she pulled up to go over her feet? Okay? So when she goes back, she's gonna take the action from there to go back.
But she doesn't push back the same way.
No.
she pushed her
I'm not going.
Yeah.
No,
Right.
if anything, she's gonna pull forward.
But I'm going.
Yeah, if anything, she's gonna drag her feet towards her hands because now she's gonna adjust. Do you see what she just did?
Yeah.
So now, so when you get to that point where you're kind of like, it's harder for me to do. When you're here, okay, you have to, actually it's almost like you have to drag the foot in this way to then be in the right place for your feet. And if that doesn't happen, then you just make the adjustment.
You're also not doing this run. You're doing this run just a little faster. So
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's the lift, you have to make so wide your body on each of the toes that they're not scrubbing and not painful. The same like here. If I just gonna go down and not depends on my leg, that's painful. So I have to keep my core and my thighs up.
Yeah, you have to really keep engaged in your core and in your legs to sustain that transition. Otherwise, it's just going to be too much pressure on the joints of the ankles, the toes, and the knees. Okay? Okay, everybody got that? Okay. Let's go through, okay. Are you okay to do it again? Yeah. Okay. Let's go through. Okay. Let's talk her through this. So you learn the breath with the name of the pose, okay? You ready?
Jumping.
No, step but back, but like all on an exhale so they can see that, okay? All right, so inhale, Uttita Hasana. Inhale, Uttita Hasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. All one exhale. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale,
Uttanasana. Inhale, Uttita Hasana.
Good, and then exhale, Tadasana. Okay? Okay, good. So what she was showing you is just stepping back, but realize that from here, from Ardha Uttanasana, okay, again, plank pose is not in this sun salutation, but if we're stepping back and not jumping back, then it's one exhale. This is the inhale, and then this is all one exhalation, and then the inhale. Okay, so if we were jumping, then it would be inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, exhale, jump back, Chaturanga Dandasana. Okay? All right. Questions? Okay, you're going to teach this now. Okay.